Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. We are Millennial Mom. If you don't know who is who, I'm Millennial. This is Mom.
Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Mom or Kay from Millennial Mom, and today I'm going to talk to you about Married at First Sight, Chicago, Season 18, Episode 5. It's called A Beat of a Wedding. So if you are new here, just know that I, and also sometimes Millennial, do the Married at First Sight seasons. We've done plenty of seasons. If you're interested in them all, you go back and check out our library. I do the 90 Day Fiance franchise over here, 90 Day Before the 90 Days, 90 Day, the Tell-Alls, you name it. I do it on this channel. So if you're interested, please hit that subscribe button or consider subscribing. I really appreciate it. And if you've been here for a while or A1 Day 1, I appreciate that too. Everyone, please don't forget to hit that like button and tell a friend that Millennial Mom does Married at First Sight and the 90 Day franchise and other things coming up along the way. The Doricos will be coming up. I do believe their season will be back out in 2025. So join me for that. All right. So back to Married at First Sight. There are 5 couples. Let me show you their pictures. It's still pretty new, so just go through them real quick. You have Madison and Allan, Karla and Juan, Emem and Ikechi, Camille and Thomas, and you have Michelle and David. So, all right. Well, the couples are on their honeymoons, and it looks like they're about to wrap up the honeymoons next episode. But for this episode, listen, it's just a bunch of tension going on with Michelle and David, and low key, in my opinion, Madison and Allan, more Madison, because I don't think she's attracted to Allan. And then I think that Karla is feeling like a little something with Juan, like there's something there that maybe she can't quite put her finger on. But then again, I think deep down she knows that she's looking for a man or a husband who will help her in her career of being an entrepreneur, but yet she wants to have kids, so she also wants to be a stay-at-home mom kind of thing. So she's hoping that her husband, Juan, will help her with that. And, her and Juan have had conversations about that last episode, and even a little bit into this episode. I don't know if Juan is really cool on that, but we'll have to see as time goes on if they make it. So again, the honeymoons are still in effect, and it starts off with Karla talking about, again, her entrepreneurship and want to be taken care of. She said even though she doesn't need a man for that, but, she wants to be married and have the white picket fence, the romance. She said that she wants to have lunches, vacations, and things to do with her husband. But at the same time, she wants her husband to do that with her too. And Juan is giving her pushback. He said, with me being an entrepreneur too, you have to work a little bit harder to get your business and your whatever you're trying to do off the ground. And there's lots of expenses you have to pay. So he said even though he's got a 9 to 5 job as well, but sometimes if that's what Karla wants to do, if she wants to have lunches or dinners, it's cool to have it with her friends or maybe by herself for a self-care day. But there's going to be times where he just doesn't have the money, because he said sometimes you got to shell out as much as $10,000 for his staff, people in production, for whatever he's trying to do to get off the ground. He's got to pay people for their assistance. He don't have that kind of money right now. And then Karla, the look on her face was like, I don't know about that, but again, he's being honest with her, right? So, and then before they get into their activities, things like that, let me jump back a little bit. There were quick scenes with the couple. So what I'm doing right now is a quick scene. So that was Karla and Juan, and now we're going to move to Camille and Thomas. So they're enjoying their day. This seems to be like, for me, the only couple that is going to make it to the finish line. They seem like they have actual chemistry. But let me say something, too, I didn't notice from the beginning. Camille is 32. Thomas is 42. So I didn't realize there was a 10-year age gap. And I'm not trying to be shady or nothing like that, but they look like they are around the same age. I'm not saying one looks older than the other, but I just thought they're around the same age. Because most of the couples have like maybe a 2 to 3 year age gap, something like that. They're all in their 30s this time versus in previous seasons of Married at First Sight. A lot of them were in their 20s or middle 20s, some in the early 20s, and their spouses were like 30. And, sometimes when you're in your 20s, you haven't really matured enough. I'm not saying that for everybody, to really be in a marriage. But I'm just saying, I didn't realize there's a 10-year age gap with these two, and that's fine. So, because like I said, they seem to be the most compatible, and they're having everyday conversations early. And I think especially watching the seasons back, for the spouses who seem to be connecting tend to have those conversations on the honeymoon to get to know who they're married to, opposed to you get to like the second to last week of till decision day, and you just now have these conversations when it's like a little bit too much, too late, right? But I really enjoyed their interaction together. Camille says she understands that Thomas wants to make her comfortable in general on the honeymoon, but she wants a guy that's or a spouse that's a leader, and she hopes that he can pick up those leader qualities as time moves on. And you know what? I said this in the last video. I said there was something about Thomas's aesthetic. I mean, yes, again, like I said, he looks like he could be on GQ magazine or whatever, but internally, he doesn't seem like he's got the esteem issues. Like his esteem is not as high where he feels as confident. That's what I was getting from the perception of Thomas. And later on, I found out for me, and maybe you too, as to why that is. Now, in moving on to Michelle and David. So Michelle is enjoying her time alone without David because there has been troubles in the water ever since Michelle learned that David, so Michelle is 38, the quick overview. Let me put them back up. Michelle is 38, David's 36. When she learned that David still lives at home in his family's basement, but the basement is was told to be like a equivalent of a 2-bedroom apartment with all the amenities there. It just so happens to be in his parents' house where he pays rent and helps them with their mortgage too, right? But Michelle isn't with it. She feels like he should be out on his own. She don't understand the reasons why. I mean, David explained all that. He moved back when COVID happened. All kind of things, when that couple years ago that happened to all of us, right? We were in the house, blah, blah, blah. But Michelle just seemed to think that he can't be the man he should be living in his parents' home. So she just can't get past herself in general. And she just can't get past the fact with David. So I'll jump back to Michelle and David in just a moment. But let's move to Emem and Ikechi. They are having breakfast with each other. They're talking about life events such as when was your first date? Emem said that she didn't really date in high school. She was more into sports and volleyball. Ikechi said he wasn't sure about, he said girls at the time, high school, liked him, nothing like that. Like they would really have to say, hey, we're going on a date for him to know that someone was interested in him, right? So they both have very different views on life and how really where they should be in life, in my opinion, from high school and on. Honestly, I think that Ikechi's asking the questions, but he's asking questions. Okay, I can understand like, oh, what'd you do in high school, stuff like that. But how old are they now? They're in their 30s. Ask like about your job, your friends now, like how's your group now? Not like in high school. I mean, I guess, but you let me know what you think in the comments. Anyways, Ikechi tells a story also when he's in high school that he lived with his father. He ended up getting in high school to college, and he ended up getting kicked out of the house. I guess him and his father, he said, had the same type of personality, and one day things just boiled over and he had to go. And so when he left, he said he had some friends from college who were a little bit older than him that he was able to stay with for a little while. And then when his mom found out, because his parents are divorced or not together, right? He ended up moving back home with her in Houston. So he said with him going through college, moving back with his mom, experiences from his high school, college, with his dad and everything, led him to being an educator and teacher. And he said that, he wants kids to feel like there's a way out in life, meaning his background wasn't the best. So he wants to help kids, high school, to know that they can go on and not be really a product of his environment. So as he's telling the story about his dad and college and moving back with his mom, he gets emotional thinking about it, right? And expressing it to Ikechi. And Ikechi is just listening to the story, and Eminem is listening to Ikechi's story, and Ikechi's looking at her like, this didn't choke you up too? It's not bothering you? And so she's like, I'm not really emotional. She's like, my mom wasn't emotional and my family wasn't emotional. So I really keep things in. And I don't know if I thought that was really like the best time to ask or express to someone else, like, why aren't you emotional like I am? Because maybe it didn't hit her the same way. But now he got the background of why Emem isn't emotional. Maybe he could, and vulnerable, maybe he can see where she's coming from with that. But then again, as the show progresses, and I'm going to get to it, I don't think it will, just based off his comments with the guys. All right, so let's move on to David. So David has gone to the gym in the morning. He's used to working out anyways every day, that he says. And he actually runs into Madison. Let me put their picture up. Madison, Allen's wife. And he said, yeah, I knew on the bus coming to the resort that, you and I would make a connection in the gym because she's into working out and he's into working out too. So y'all do know, or you heard, or maybe not, that there's going to be a couple swap this season. And the odds on the couple swap happens to be what I've been hearing anyways, rumor, is Madison and David. But we'll have to wait and see who it actually is. And honestly, it could be anybody on here. So except for Camille and Thomas, but we'll have to wait and see, right? So they're in the gym, Madison and David, and David is talking to Madison about the concerns he has about Michelle. Like, they're not on the same page. She doesn't seem to want to be bothered with me. Their communication's down. I don't know if she thinks I'm attractive. Just all these different details. And Madison is saying, well, maybe you need to find out where she's coming from. And I'm thinking to myself, he's already found out where she's coming from. She's already said it, that she just wasn't into him, period, and really don't want to be around him. It's her body language. It's the way she's talking to him. But she's like, you need to be tough with her. You need to also allow her to be vulnerable and come to you. And I don't know if I thought the advice was the best, because David has been trying, but I'm not knocking Madison for what she's saying to David. I just think that it's not necessarily going to work with Michelle, even before I saw the rest of the episode. Well, here's an interesting thing. David mentioned that he's been engaged before. He has the name of his ex-fiance tattooed on his chest. Said that's something that Michelle doesn't know about. And Madison said, well, that's something you should tell Michelle. And I'm just like, does he really have to tell her that now? But Madison's encouraged him to tell her different things. And again, I don't know. I don't know really how much Madison and Michelle talk, but I really think that Madison is projecting the things that she's feeling with, not, in my opinion, being attracted to Allan, to what she really wishes someone would say to her as far as her marriage. But that's just me. All right. So now Madison is back from her workout with David, and she's telling Allan about how she saw David and the different conversations. And based on the things that Madison said that she told David, Allan asked her, so what do you think about me? What do you think about what I can do better with you or for our relationship? And Madison dropped the ball. She did. She doesn't respond as emphasis on as, sarcastic as Michelle and David, but she's not, to me, giving Allan really the conversation he's looking for. I think that Madison talks in circles, just like Ikechi talks in circles. Madison definitely talks in circles, and Allan is not dumb. He's not falling for the okie doke. Eventually, Allan tells Madison that if he's not happy in a relationship, he's out. He said he's worked on his self-esteem, he's worked on his personality and just him in general, and he's just not going to take anything from anybody. And I feel Allan on that. And you know what, again, Allan to me is someone else, just like Thomas, that has had or have self-esteem not as high in the past or maybe now, but it seems like Allan is a little bit further along than Thomas in the self-esteem thing, because Allan, like I said, when he told her, if I don't feel this, I'm out, that threw Madison off. That to me was like, maybe I should think about what I'm saying to Allan, because I think Madison thinks she runs the show, and Allan's got just a little bit more get up and go about him than she thought he did. All right, so finally David made it back to the room with Michelle after the gym, and while he was at the gym, Michelle was talking to her friends, saying, crying like, I can't do this. I don't know if I can get, playing to me Karen tears, in my opinion, or, how did I get in this mess? Or like, I'm the victim, woe is me. When you sign up for the show and you know what, you don't know what you're going to get. I promise I say this every season. You don't know what you're going to get. You have it in the experts' hands to help you find a spouse that's based off of things that you said you wanted and you were looking for. Now, granted, she may not have said she wanted someone to live in a basement, but David is independent living where he's living. It's not like he's not working. He's not a bum or anything like that. So he said he's got 2 jobs. So I don't really know what the issue is. And guess what? Now that he's married, they can get a place together. He even said that wasn't a problem. But anyways, David's back, and, he's trying to make nice with Michelle because, again, he knows the energy. And so Michelle is talking, but not really. She's in the mood of, I really don't want to say nothing to you. I don't even like you like that. But since I'm here on camera, I guess I'm going to try vibe. She's very exhausting. I mean, very exhausting. Making this episode for me hard to watch because I'm like, oh my gosh, we're only on episode 5. What is she going to complain about again? Do y'all feel the same way? Let me know in the comments. So, David is trying to get her to open up, asking her questions, asking about the last time she was in a relationship, how is she doing today? Just the basic overall things. And she's talking to him as, like I said, as if like she don't want to say anything, but she knows she has to. And eventually she does ask for peace and quiet. But this is after David said that he saw Madison in the gym, and he did mention he had his ex's fiance's name tattoo on his chest. And in confessional, Michelle was like, I don't know why anybody would even tattoo anybody's name, but people do that. I mean, she really acts like she lives in a bubble and don't know that people have different names, images, or whatever tattooed on their body. I mean, she's really, really coming across as a mean girl, just like Madison. They are definitely the 2 mean girls on this show. I mean, listen, David is really trying. He's asking her, well, after you relax, you want to maybe get some lunch, you get some dinner. She's like, no, I just want to be by myself. I just want to take some time. We're not really vibing, I don't want to be bothered kind of thing. And so, she's saying that she's having a hard time right now. She has serious tunnel vision, serious like me. There's no I in team. Okay. And there's no I in this marriage you have going on, because why are you here? And I do understand some people just don't mesh with some people and they check out real early. But I mean, she is so focused on one thing that she can't get past with anything. And it always goes down, not in the DMs. Okay. But it goes down on the honeymoon every season is where, in my opinion, I've said this for many seasons, that the telltale signs of if a marriage may or may not make it, heavy on the may not, is on the honeymoon. Okay, I haven't been wrong yet. All right. Now, jump to later in the episode, Camille and Thomas go out to dinner. And this is where I was saying earlier that I feel like the reasons why Thomas's self-esteem issues come from this scene right here. So they talk about their backgrounds. And Camille asked Thomas, how did you find out about, because at the wedding, the receptions, Thomas's mom and stepmom, I believe, were at the wedding. And so she asked, how did he find out about, being adopted? He said that him and his twin brother found out on social media, not even from a family member. It turns out that I believe he's got like 4 older siblings and then 2 younger ones, something like that. He definitely has older siblings and maybe a younger one by his dad. So he ended up calling his dad and he asked his dad, is it true we were adopted? And so the dad says, yes, that you were, and that he was going to tell them when they were 18, but was afraid that, they wouldn't love him anymore. And that's not true, right? Thomas and his twin brother loved their dad. And unfortunately, 3 months after finding out that they were adopted, they learned that their father had a stage 4 aggressive cancer and ended up passing away 3 months later. And so Thomas says, finding out about being adopted and just different things that came out with that is a reason why he has trust issues with people and growing up. And again, that's where I feel like he's that self-esteem issue. If it already wasn't at a certain level, definitely got pushed down just by knowing your background, and no one told you until much, much, much later in life. And you just have those trust issues that you can't get past, and like, who am I? Where do I belong type thing. So Camille shares her story growing up. And of course, she has empathy for Thomas. She says that being the oldest sibling and her parents being divorced, she finds herself not being as open and vulnerable as far as emotions and trusting people, and that she had to grow up and be more forthcoming and help take care of her siblings, and that Thomas sharing his story can help her open up, and she feels that, and vice versa, hoping that Thomas sharing his story can help them open up. And Thomas even said that he felt comfortable talking to Camille where there was no judgment, and how much he appreciates her. It just seems like, this is the it couple of the season. I just really hope that's true. All right. So later we have David. He schedules he calls it a boys' day. And of course, the ladies go on a ladies' day. David said that he wanted to hang out with the guys to go over and get some advice about what's going on in his marriage. He wants to talk to somebody that's in the same situation to give him tips to see how he could get through to Michelle. All right, so let's start with the ladies. They are doing a Pilates class hosted by Miss Karla. Here's her picture. And after the Pilates class, Michelle says that she's on the struggle bus with David. She says she feels like he talks at her and not to her, and that their communication's not there. I said, whoa, you feel he talks at you? Ma'am, you talk at him. Talk about, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I just want time. I need time. I need this. Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Like, look at the woman in the mirror. Okay. Because that's you. Clearly she has zero accountability. So the ladies are trying to give her suggestions about, maybe you ought to open up. This is new. We're in a boiling pot, where we don't know who's who, and we just really need to get to know our spouse. And if you're not being open, then, how do you think things will progress? Now, Madison says, it was either Madison or Emem, says that Michelle's not crazy for feeling like overwhelmed and pressure. I understand they all have pressure, and Michelle isn't crazy. She's just self-centered. Okay. Like if it's not her way, it's the highway. Think back to her sisters when they met David, just the look that they had on their faces. And the very first thing that they said to him was, oh, she comes from and this is fine. I'm just saying how her sister said it with a little condescending, just like Michelle is. She comes from a woman-dominated household and blah, 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 blah. And then when he explained his situation about living in his parents' basement, the job, things like that, the way they looked at him and shook their head like, I know. Like I said, I know they called or text her after that meetup was like, girl, what are you doing? Get out now. Okay, because that's how Michelle is acting. Anyways, let's see. Camille starts a conversation with the ladies, and every season there's always one couple, the one couple that seems like they're going to make it to the end, seems like they're the spokesperson for the group, and this season is Camille, right? So she starts a conversation asking the ladies about their husbands and the attraction. And I think the overall consensus of the women is that they are taking it slow and day to day. Besides Camille, there is no attraction. I think Emem thinks there's an attraction with Ikechi or Inky. I don't think so. I don't think so. She even says taking it slow. And, they haven't kissed, but, they're building up an emotional bond. Karla feels that her and Juan are on a similar page. But again, I think Karla is somewhere out there and hadn't really processed what's going on right now because Juan is chilling for the meantime. I think Juan is giving him something to do. And then Madison and Michelle are the definite mean girls. So really they have zero to say, even though Madison tried to be like, oh yeah, me and Allan, we try. No, girl, you just waste your breath with that. So when the guys meet up, of course, David said, I need your help. He said he feels like there was progress with Michelle, but it feels like I've taken steps back. David, no, there was never any progress. What progress? You had a 2-minute conversation because production was there, like, keep it going. We need some more footage. Because really, that's about it to me, right? And so David said that he really wants to have a relationship with her, but he's not sure what to do. Yeah, it's just the fact of, I think Allan and Juan were telling David to, try to get to know her better, get to know her likes, her dislikes, what she wants to do. Let her lead the conversation. And even though I think the guys gave David some decent advice, I just don't think that Michelle is wanting that. So they really don't know the ins and outs like David does. So they really can't give a true assessment of what's going on. Let's see. Basically, like I said, David, he took it in, but I know he's probably thinking, yeah, that's good and all, but I don't think that's going to work for my relationship, even though he's hopeful. And I'm just really surprised he's hopeful in this moment, just the way that she's been talking to him. So then Ikechi says that him and Emem are vibing. He said, yeah, she's the homie. I was like, the homie? So you friend zoned her already? Like, I understand, again, married at first sight, day 5, but I don't think I ever heard anyone call their spouse on all these seasons the homie on day 5. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you in this for marriage? Or are you in this for, I don't know. I don't know. Promotion? 5 minutes of fame? Because it's not giving wife, husband material. All right. So anyways, after the meetup with the men and the women separately, David and Michelle meet back up to talk about their activities. David asked Michelle, how do we get on the same page? Michelle said, I don't think that you can. I just need my space. And I just would really appreciate it, if I could get it. And after all that, David said, you know what? You want your space? I'm going to give you MF and space. I'm like, it's about damn time. For real. Okay. So then he gets up, he walks away. And when he gets up, she gives his look like, uh-oh, like, is he going to come around here or something? But he goes in the hotel room to the bar, because they're outside, to get a drink and settle down. And he eventually comes back over and he apologized for getting out of character in the heat of the moment. But Michelle's like, oh, okay. She really wasn't here for all this. Now, in confessional, Michelle is crying and she's just stuck on David, that house, living with your parents. You're not independent. You're not this, you're not that. Again, it's the Karen for me mentality. I just can't with her. So we also see Emem and Ikechi meet up after all the guys and the ladies meet up. And so there's like, oh, so what'd you guys talk about? And so he said, yeah, I talked to the guys about, we have a good bond, a friendship, and that, you're the homie. Emem said, the homie? Are you for real? I'm the homie? And so he was like, yeah, would you like to be the homie or the ops? I said the homie or the ops. Even she said that. And I would have been like, okay. That right there, if that didn't say friend zone, this is not going to go any further for me, I don't know what it is. But Ikechi tried to clean it up and be like, to be married, you want your spouse to be your best friend. So so that means you're my homie, right? Going forward. And I'm like, that's not what you meant. That is not what you meant. Yes, your spouse should be your best friend. But of course, that's if you've known them for a while. And in this situation, you've known them just for a brief moment of time. But no, huge red flag. Okay, get out your red flags. No, this is a no for me in this moment. I say this couple is not going to make it till decision day. Neither is David and what's her name? Michelle, Miss Karen. Okay, and neither is Madison and Allan. And guess what? I don't even see Karla Juan make it. The only one with hope is Camille and Thomas. We know how this goes if you've been watching Married at First Sight for a minute. So later, also, we have Madison and Allan. They're on their activity. And so, again, the conversation with them is real awkward. He asks, she's wearing a bikini. He's wearing some swim shorts and a shirt that's open. It's mismatched. It's not really coordinated, but hey, he's got different sunglasses on. That's a style, right? Quirky. He admits he's quirky. So he said, so how do you like my look? She's like, it's all right. He goes, well, what if we were out somewhere? She goes, that wouldn't work for me. But like he would really wear swim shorts out somewhere. She goes, because if I have on a nice dress and you have on something like that, in what world does that work? Okay. She also failed the impromptu test or whatever, because I'm like, she's so self-absorbed. Again, another mean girl. Anyways, he had to remind her that it doesn't matter what you think. This is my style. I worked on me. This is my aesthetic, and it is what it is. He is okay with who he is today. So another awkward couple. That's about it with them. And then we see Karla and Juan. They are on a little boat going through, like, I don't know, the resort. I guess you could rent a boat and just kind of travel through the hotels and things like that, on the water. And again, like I said, chemistry, no. I think Karla sees a little hope, but I think it's starting to fade a little bit. They're on the boat and they're trying to save the camera, to film their excursion. And so they're like, well, it's like a little narrow canoe, right? And so the boat tips over and then here comes production. She's like, oh my God, we got wet. Well, the boat tipped over, right? And they're like, because I said to him, like, well, your hair's not wet. You're not wet. They're like, you're not wet. But Juan is. And I'm like, how'd you manage not to get wet? So is the little canal that they're riding on the boat, is it like they could stand up in that or something? Because did nothing of her seem like she was drenched or she drowned or was, she couldn't swim or something like that. But anyways, after all that, they finally got the boat up right and they were having a conversation. just regular everyday conversation. And I just really don't even know what to say about this couple. They weren't even talking about nothing. They just had an activity, and that was that. So overall, this episode, besides Camille and Thomas, who is again the spokesperson of the group, draining. Michelle and David, mainly Michelle, made it draining. And they just didn't seem, all the couples, well, all but Camille and Thomas, didn't seem like they connected on anything, bonded, nothing. It was just like really bits and pieces of different little scenes in general. So tell me what you think about this episode. Tell me what you think about these couples, especially Michelle and David, and then the chemistry of everybody else. And what do you think about Michelle's breakdown and what she can't do anymore? And what do you think about Ikechi telling Eminem that she's just a homie versus an ops? And also, what do you think about Karla's explanation about the temple and men's rods? Okay, because she got a little graphic on there. So, but that's Karla's thing, though. She said organic, glowy, flowy, all that with the universe. Okay, so that's her vibe. That's her style. So again, let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, comment, and share. And until next time, everyone, live simply, be grateful.